Most people destroy their own power the very moment they attempt to defend themselves. An accusation comes their way, and what's the first instinct? To explain, to justify, to clear their name. But the second you fall into that trap, something subtle yet dangerous takes place. You surrender the frame. You allow the accuser to define the terms of engagement, and you play their game instead of your own. And here's the truth. Only the weak feel the need to explain. The strong never do. The strong remain silent. Or better yet, they flip the script so completely that the accusation dies in the air before it ever lands. This principle is not new. Centuries ago, Niccolo Machiavelli understood this truth better than anyone. He warned, "A man who defends himself gives a reason to doubt him." Because when you defend, you admit the accusation carries weight. You breathe life into it. Think about that for a moment. The instant you explain yourself, you confirm that the words matter. You tell the world, "Yes, this concerns me. Yes, it has power over me. Yes, I am vulnerable here. That is why silence is not cowardice, it is power." That is why the ability to hold still in the face of accusation is the mark of a ruler, not a servant. The trap of reaction. Let's break it down. Someone accuses you of arrogance. Most people rush to explain, "No, I'm not arrogant. I'm just confident." What just happened? You've placed yourself in the defendant's seat in a courtroom you never agreed to enter. You've given the accuser authority over you. Or consider when someone calls you dangerous. Most people deny it, insisting, "I'm not dangerous, I mean well." But in doing so, they give strength to the very claim. Instead, the powerful smile, or they nod. Because danger is not something to deny. Danger is something to let others feel in silence. When you defend, you react. And when you react, you become predictable. Predictability is death in any game of power, because once your reactions are mapped, your enemies know how to control you. But when you remain still, unreadable, unbothered, you force others into uncertainty. Uncertainty breeds fear, and fear is the seed of respect. The story of the silent man. History offers countless examples of this principle in action. Consider the story of a powerful man who once faced a room filled with enemies. They tried everything: accusations, twisted questions, baiting him into arguments. Every word they spoke was designed to provoke, to corner him, to make him defend. But he didn't. He didn't explain. He didn't argue. He didn't waste a single word on justification. Instead, he sat there calmly, with the faint trace of a smile, watching them exhaust themselves. Something fascinating happened. The longer his silence stretched, the more unsettled his enemies became. They started doubting themselves. Why isn't he reacting? Is he hiding something? Or is he untouchable? Their certainty turned to suspicion, and suspicion turned to fear. In the end, his lack of defense was his greatest weapon. Silence became dominance. Stillness became power. His enemies revealed their hand first, while he revealed nothing. Why? Silence works. Why does this strategy work so effectively? Because silence creates a vacuum, and humans cannot stand vacuums. When you don't fill the space with explanation, others rush to fill it themselves. They project, they guess, they argue among themselves. In their scramble, they reveal more about their motives than you ever reveal about yours. Stillness creates tension, and tension is uncomfortable. People want it released, but when you refuse to release it with words, they feel the pressure. That pressure works in your favor because it makes them wonder what you know, what you're hiding, what you're capable of. Defending yourself removes the mystery. It hands your power away. Remaining silent multiplies the mystery, and mystery is the essence of power. Machiavelli's wisdom. Machiavelli never wrote for cowards. His lessons weren't meant for the weak, but for those who sought to rule. He understood that survival was not enough. Domination was the goal. And domination requires mastery over perception. A king does not explain himself to peasants. A general does not justify his moves to soldiers. Power is not in proving yourself. It's in making others accept you as you are, without question. The moment you explain, you step down from the throne of authority and sit in the chair of the accused. And from there, you've already lost. This is why he taught, never defend, because defending acknowledges the power of your opponent. It places you beneath them in the hierarchy. Refusing to defend keeps you above, untouchable. Practical applications in modern life. Now you might think, this all sounds great in theory, but what about real life? Let's make it practical. At work, someone says you're unqualified. Instead of scrambling to explain your skills, let your performance, your results, your undeniable value answer the accusation. Over time, silence plus results is louder than any defense. In relationships, a partner accuses you of being selfish. Most rush to say, "No, I do this and that for you." Instead, stay calm. Ask a question back. Or simply stay quiet. Let them wrestle with their own emotions instead of giving them your energy. In social circles, someone tries to frame you as arrogant. Smile, because if you're truly confident, no explanation is necessary. The people who matter will see it. The ones who don't are irrelevant. Online or in public, people love to bait with criticism. The average person fights back. The powerful either ignore it or turn it into fuel. Think of great leaders, athletes, entrepreneurs. They rarely defend against insults. They outgrow them. The fear factor. Here's the hidden truth. Once people realize they cannot provoke a reaction from you, they begin to fear you. Not in a violent way, but in a psychological way. They fear because they don't understand you. They fear because their weapons, accusation, provocation, manipulation, bounce off harmlessly. And when fear settles in, respect follows. Because deep down, humans respect what they cannot control. They respect what remains unmoved. This is why the ancient Stoics trained themselves in self-control. This is why Machiavelli advised rulers to dominate perception. This is why history remembers those who stayed calm under fire, not those who panicked into defending themselves. The rules of dominance. So what's the practical rule you can live by? It's simple. If they call you dangerous, nod. If they call you arrogant, smile. If they question your motives, give them nothing, because in that nothingness lies your true power. You don't owe anyone your defense. You don't owe them an explanation. The world doesn't need your justifications. What the world needs is your presence, your results, your undeniable impact. Defend nothing. Dominate everything. Building power beyond defense. Now let's go deeper. If you refuse to defend, what should you do instead? You build, you create, you make your existence the only explanation required. Build skills so undeniable that no criticism can erase them. Build results so massive that silence itself becomes your loudest response. Build presence so powerful that when you walk into a room, explanations die before they can even form. That's the essence of Machiavelli's teaching. He didn't write for cowards begging for survival. He wrote for kings determined to rule. And ruling requires one thing above all else: the ability to never descend to the level of defense. The first rule. So remember this: the first rule of power is not wealth or status or armies. It is frame control. And frame control begins with one principle: never defend. Because the moment you defend, you admit weakness. The moment you explain, you breathe life into accusation. But when you stay silent, when you stay still, when you refuse to play their game, you flip the script. Suddenly they're the ones doubting. They're the ones questioning. They're the ones on defense. That is the essence of dominance. That is the path of kings. So next time someone questions your worth, your character, or your motives, remember, you don't owe them your defense. You owe them your domination. Never defend. Rule instead.